Hello, hello, and welcome to Bedtime Stories, our first ever episode. It is the ASMR book club, and I'm so excited that you are joining me today or tonight, whatever time it is. And I'm also excited to introduce the first book that we will be discussing today. That is You Do You. You Do You. How to be who you are and use what you've got to get what you want, by Sarah Knight. So today I'm going to discuss about the first half of the book, just my thoughts, a little bit of a synopsis, and reading of a few passages. Overall, I'm loving it so far. I think that Sarah Knight is brilliant, hilarious, and she did a TED Talk, which I watched. It's on YouTube, and I thought that was brilliant as well. So you can just look up Sarah Knight TED Talks, and honestly, everything she says is so true, and she says it in such a funny way. So I'm loving this book so far, and I think what the first thing that I'll do is to just read the back of the book. So she says, when it's okay to be selfish, why it's pointless to be perfect, and how to be difficult. Being yourself should be easy, yet many of us struggle to live on other people's terms instead of our own. Rather than feeling large and in charge, we feel little and belittled. Sound familiar? Best-selling anti-guru Sarah Knight has 3 simple words for you. You do you. It's time to start putting your happiness first and stop letting other people tell you what to do, how to do it, or why it can't be done. And don't panic. You can do it without losing friends and alienating people. Knight delivers her trademark no bull advice about the tyranny of just because, the social contract and how to amend it, turning flaws into strengths, aka mental redecorating, why it's not your job to be nice, letting your freak flag fly, how to take risks, silence the doubters, and prove the haters wrong. So, a lot of that I'm about halfway through, and she's discussed a lot of that so far. She also also has, I believe, 2 other best-selling books, so she really knows what she's talking about. And if you do happen to be interested in this one, read this one and like it, then there are other books by her that you could look into as well. So I'll just start by saying that if you are a people pleaser or a pushover, or you feel a lot of guilt surrounding things that you feel obligated to do, and you feel like you maybe don't have time for yourself, and you spread yourself too thin, maybe you're not doing something that you're really passionate about, then this book may be really hard to read, but you are who it's for. And I'm 100% a people pleaser, and so I really, at first reading it, thought, this book is not for me. I cannot say these things, do these things, because I just do whatever it takes for everyone to be happy. And she's saying things like, if you don't want to go to the party or someone's baby shower, then say, no thank you, I don't want to. And I was like, no, there's no way. But through continuing to read it, I feel like she has some really, really good points about why do we even feel this way in the first place, and why do we feel like we A, have to go, and B, if we don't want to go and aren't going to go, why do we feel like we have to lie about the reason? Because as people, we really don't like lying. We do not value dishonesty whatsoever, and we think it's a really poor quality in people. And yet when it comes to things like this, the social norm is to lie, and it would be considered wrong to tell the truth, which is just so strange. So she's really good at getting you to just change your mindset and how you look at these things that we all consider so normal. So the first quote that I would like to bring up is from page 60. So let's just open up to page 60. She has lots of really creative and interesting flow charts and diagrams. And the book is very humorous and lighthearted and entertaining, but also has so many nuggets of really, I think, brilliant wisdom. Okay, so we're on page 60, and this was the first quote that I was like, I love this. So, the key to doing you, she says, without becoming a psychopath, is knowing which rules are bend and breakable, and how to do it in a constructive way. One rule of thumb is if it's hurting or limiting you more than it's helping others, it's a good candidate. So I loved this, and it made me feel like it is okay sometimes to be selfish. And how to know when to be selfish is that, like, is it hurting you more than it's helping others? Or is it helping you more than it's hurting others? And I also loved how she says selfish is, it's called selfish for a reason. Because there's this common misperception that the word selfish means you have no consideration for others and you only think about yourself. And she said it's called selfish because it means that you prioritize yourself sometimes and you prioritize others sometimes. But you don't automatically prioritize others over yourself or prioritize yourself over others. You, depending on the situation, weigh the pros and cons, who it's affecting, and sometimes choose to prioritize yourself and your needs. So selfish. So I totally love that. Another little, I thought, brilliant nugget in the book was when she said to stop thinking of your weaknesses as weaknesses and start thinking of them as the things that make you you. So obviously we are not all perfect. None of us are perfect. And everyone has weaknesses. And we don't judge others' weaknesses nearly as hard as we judge our own. So if we started looking at our weaknesses the same way that we look at others, in that maybe saying, oh, he's just a stubborn person, or oh, she's just disorganized, that's just the way they are. We learn to accept it. And we learn to love those people regardless. It's harder sometimes to accept and love ourselves the way that we are, weaknesses and all. So I think if we just kind of rearrange those thoughts in our mind from being like, this is my weakness, to this is one of the things that makes me who I am. Because if I'm not Mother Teresa, I'm going to have a weakness, and whatever weakness that is, it defines, or it doesn't define me, but it is part of who I am. So I think that that's just looking at it in a more positive light is very important, as she pointed out. Okay. And again, on the topic of being selfish, my next quote is from page 62 and 63. She's talking about part of the social construct, which is to not be selfish. But she's saying that life is short and sometimes it's okay. So she says, if you don't set aside time for a bubble bath or a round of golf, who will? Your boss is busy assigning you tasks, your friends are busy sending you e-bites, and your kid is busy refusing to take the very naps that you would murder a hobo for right now. You need that me time to rearrange your batteries so you can do all those tasks. So I totally 100% agree with this. It might seem selfish to look after yourself, but really, you can't do anything for anyone else if you don't look after yourself first. So it's part selfish, part selfless. But it's right, nobody's gonna tell you you need to go take a bubble bath for your own mental health and sanity, and so that you can continue to juggle everything that you do in the day. You have to be the one who tells yourself that. And you know, there's that saying that you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to fill up your cup in order to be able to pour it, aka do those things for yourself and for other people. So it's totally self-care, very, very important. And I have one last quote from the first half of the book, and it is on page 74. She says, sometimes you even need to be selfish in order to help other people. Like when you put on your oxygen mask first before assisting others. We're no good to one another, passed out from O2 deprivation. So I loved that quote, and I loved that oxygen mask philosophy, that you need to put on your own oxygen mask before you can help others. You need to have the energy yourself in order to do anything for anyone else. And you need to give yourself whatever is required in order to get that energy. And I think we need to stop looking at it as such a negative thing, to take time for ourselves. So that is the first half of the book, You Do You by Sarah Knight. And I'm going to be reading the second half, and I will recap all of my favorite quotes and little nuggets in our next Bedtime Stories episode. Please, if you enjoy this idea, let me know what books you would like me to do. I am willing to do any type of book, fiction, non-fiction, whatever. So just let me know. I think it's a super fun idea, and anything, if you have a book that you've been wanting to start reading, we might as well read it together and discuss on this Bedtime Stories series. So please let me know down below if you've read this book,